My name is Gill Stannard. I'm a health and happiness coach and a qualified naturopath, and I'm here to answer your questions. Today's question comes from Sally, who writes, I read the Jeanette Winterson piece in the Guardian about going on an 11-day fast. What are your thoughts on fasting? Thank you, Sally. I have a lot of contradictory thoughts on fasting. So the old school naturopath in me loves fasting. The modern naturopath in me is a lot more cautious. So to talk about Jeanette Winterson's experience that she wrote about, there's some wonderful philosophy and some thoughts around that, but the nuts and bolts of her own experience were she went to a medically supervised centre in Germany, which specialises in fasting. So she was screened. It was seen that she was physically appropriate to go on a fast, to drink only water for 11 days. She was taken through that process and exercised appropriately, had support as needed. The thing that I thought was understated in the article, but really key, was when she said she wasn't physically unwell, really, that led her to it, but she'd been going through a really, really stressful time. So what a fast does is gives your digestion a break, but it also should be done in a circumstance like this, where you give your body and your mind a break as well. So what fasting isn't is a crash diet. What fasting isn't is continuing with your normal life and just not eating. So the fasting experience is, a complete experience. It's not just the absence of one component of your life. And of course, in true fasting, you are screened. You don't do it if you're pregnant, you don't do it with certain medical conditions, and you certainly don't do it if you're an unstable diabetic or on insulin or other medication that requires you to eat at the same time. And I would add, you don't do it if you have a history of an eating disorder, because our relationship with food, even when it's not complicated by that kind of mental health issue, is really fundamental, and it will bring things up. So talking about old school naturopathy, before as a naturopath, I lived with old school naturopaths in London in my early 20s. And I knew nothing about fasting, I knew nothing about nature cure and all those sorts of things. And when I had a cold again, for the third month in a row, one of my housemates suggested that I fast. So I was already sick and miserable, and I thought, well, why not eat? But I was fasted on herbal tea and water for 7 days, and it was a fascinating experience. I wasn't working at the time. It was the end of winter coming into spring. It was a really amazing physical reaction to fasting, and something that, if you're not supervised, can be quite alarming. I joke that I lost half my body weight in mucus in that week. But the thing that is really key to fasting, and Jeanette Winterson didn't write about this, is what happens when you reintroduce food. So if you break a fast with, fried bacon and eggs, your body's just going to go yuck. And that's one of the problems I have with this popularised fast diet, which I'll provide a link to my reactions as a naturopath to that regime. But it's not just about drinking only water or therapeutic fluids. It's not just about not eating, but it's an entire process. So where I think we do this wrong is, in modern days, some people choose a fast or a so-called fast where they're carrying on with life as normal but not eating or under eating, and maybe paying for expensive juices instead, and that's a crash diet. That's a weight loss program, and not a great one. It's not sustainable, and people will usually put the weight back on. You just lose fluid. What it's also not that I've seen in Australia is some private centres run by, I'd probably call them pseudo-naturopaths, who may fast people in-house, and it appears to be medically supervised, and will do it for extended periods of time, for example, a month. A month on water is not appropriate for most people, but particularly physically and emotionally vulnerable people with a life-threatening condition. And I really am not in favour of those kinds of clinics. I think they prey on the vulnerable, and it's very dangerous. When you're in a weakened state and you lose your muscle mass, it's very dangerous. So if you're healthy and want to be healthier and considering doing a supervised fast, I think if you are in Australia, then maybe going to one of the better and unfortunately much more expensive health clinics, in-house places where you can have some sunshine, go to some lectures, do some appropriate exercise, and for it to be tailor-made for you, to have say a week away from your usual diet, and to either go on a fluid fast or something else that would be appropriate and designed for you in-house under those circumstances. If you want to buy into the controversy, not just read the article but read the comments, be aware that food or choosing not to eat is a hugely emotive issue, and that certainly stirred up the hornet's nest in the comments in The Guardian. So if you have a question, please email me, coaching@gillstannard.com.au. You can tweet me at herbalgill, and check out my website. I've got lots of resources, thousands of articles, recipes, and all sorts of goodies apart from the Health Q&A Monday videos. gillstannard.com.au. Thanks for watching. I'll be back